And before you try to make the joke of white America media, our CEO and our president and executive producer, Juan, oh my God, is a Puerto Rican. So before you go ahead and make yourself look stupid, he's a fine, upstanding American, and we all love him. But like I said, we've been out of pocket here for a little bit. A lot of things going on at Right America Media. We covered NRB here in Orlando. Juan, we did a little bit on the interview today. You got a little bit of a soundbite, maybe a little something. Maybe he's got a little bit. We'll get back to that a little bit later. Your boy got to interview some pretty cool folks, and it was a good time. Good gathering of Christian folks and talking about, if we get the interview, I'll let you guys see what that was all about. If you're over here on the TikTok, I would love for you to come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. Can't make it any easier for you. I put the symbol up. I put my name up. Jump on over here. Say hello. Juan will put your name up across the bottom. Okay, enough about me and plugs and all those sorts of things. Nothing's really been going on. I think it's been, 3 weeks or so since we've been here. We've got DeSantis officially in the race. I guess we could start off with that. The war is on. We have, let's see what else is going on. Everything's going well in the administration. Inflation on top of inflation is a little bit less than the inflation from the year before, so everything's going great there. I think everything's looking up and up for the economy. We have the Republicans looking like they're going to play hardball with the deep state / the swamp, and then they completely capitulated and rolled over. We have the debt ceiling, which was raised, and I guess we can go a little bit into that. I don't think it was necessarily McCarthy just rolling over on that one. At the same time, 2 things can be true at the same time. I'm sick of it. I think a lot of you are sick of it. This idea that we continuously raise the debt ceiling to pay for our debt. And I think a lot of folks get confused about the concept of I have to take on debt to pay for my debt, because I don't get to do that in real life. If I were to do that, I might drive myself bankrupt. But here in America, we just get to keep printing more money and always spending at a deficit. We've got Johnny Fly. I appreciate you being here. You're always helping out the algorithm, and you have a cool icon. Johnny doesn't like me, but he jumped over. I love all of you. If you want to jump on over to the YouTube, here's my 2 cents on the YouTube. If you say mean things about me, Juan will be sure to put them up. Sean, I would love for you to come over. Sean's been telling me that I'm not intelligent over on the TikTok. I don't know how he figured it out so quickly. Normally, I can kind of fool people, for like a little while. Just being articulate normally gets people to think I know what I'm talking about, but Sean's up right through it. I applaud him for that. So we kind of hit a bunch of them there. Here's my 2 cents on the YouTube. We got rid of the 1.4. I do appreciate that one. All right, let's go back. Let's do the debt ceiling. More than one thing can be true at the same time. Let's talk about wins in this scenario. Then we'll talk about the overarching losses for the American people in general. McCarthy said this will be a bill for spending tied to the debt ceiling raising. The Democrats as a whole, Biden, Schumer, head of the Senate, said it's a clean debt ceiling raise or nothing. We got Taylor says, love your content. Well, I love you. Keep it up. Just came over TikTok. You are the best, Taylor. Call your friends. Tell them all about it. Tell them to come watch the show. Hello from Missouri. I got a ticket in Missouri once, so that counts as me being there. And I apologize. I paid the ticket. And Puerto Ricans in the house. Monica Russell, you are the best. We love our Puerto Rican friends. I had a coworker who would say that I was American, and I would say, you're an American. And he's like, well, I guess. I'm like, you're an American. You're not a state, you're a territory, and you are an American citizen. And so I always like to remind folks of that. I think maybe sometimes folks from Puerto Rico think that maybe they're not. Maybe we could do better as a country to make sure that they are included and that they know that they are Americans. But I digest. So I don't think it was a complete capitulation, because McCarthy always stood firm and said, we're going to raise the debt ceiling with cuts. And the Democrats said, we're not even going to come to the table if you don't give us a clean debt ceiling. So that was win number 1. That actually was a win. That was McCarthy holding the line and saying, these are my stipulations, these are my terms to even come to the table. And so that's getting glossed over. I think even McCarthy isn't making a big enough deal about that. That was probably his biggest win. His biggest win in this was probably just him getting them to the table. Because you got to remember, Biden and Schumer said, we aren't coming to the table unless it's a clean debt ceiling. Came over from TikTok, the iPhone guru. You are awesome. Thank you for being here. If you're still on TikTok, come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. I made it super easy for you. It's right there. So that was a win. That actually was a win. There was some cut spending to the IRS. Not enough. It's definitely not enough. They on the left get to continue to say, well, it's just for backfilling and people who are retiring. You are plussing up by tens of thousands, and you do not need, let's call it 10,000. Let's say it's 10,000 additional. It's not the 86,000 that's actually going to come on, because some of those are going to backfill retirees and people who leave and yada, yada. Let's say it's 10,000. You don't need 10,000 in order to go after the super rich. It's just not a reality. Who are you going to go after? You're going after the middle class. Let's just be real of what that is. So there wasn't enough cutting there. there was the protection, of course, of the VA and making sure that those that I think it's called the PACT Act was preserved to make sure that those who were exposed to the burn pits in Iraq actually are going to continue to get the funding they need to make sure they're taken care of. There were some wins in there. Okay, where's the losses? You extended the debt ceiling again, and we are increasing it by what they're guesstimating at some 4 trillion. Well, why not 5? Why not 5? Let's do 5 and send a quick cool trill to your boy. I'll just go start my own country. Ain't nobody gonna notice it. Who's gonna notice it? I've been saying this the whole time. Every time you guys spend some stupid amount of money, just throw a quick bill on top, a quick mill on top, quick trill on top. I sound super cool when I say I'm short like that. Just send it to your boy. Honestly, just send it to me. It's so absolutely ridiculous. The bigger conversation of where are the cuts going to be made and do we have to increase taxes? You have those on the right say being fiscally responsible is the answer. I'm not sure that we're ever presented with a good idea of the cuts that are going to be made. You're going to have the media and the left, one and the same, screaming that we're going to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and we're going to cut Social Security, and we want to push grandma off a cliff. They've been doing this since I'm alive, and I've been alive a long time with all these grays. I think you can all see that. They just recently did it this last go around. They want to cut Medicare and they want to cut Social Security, and Biden kept saying it on TV. Democrats kept saying it on TV. The media kept saying it on TV, and the Republicans kept coming out over and over and over saying this isn't true. This isn't true at all. We're not. They said it right on the floor of the House when Biden gave the State of the Union. It was on TV live. We don't want to cut it. And for weeks after that, they continue to say over and over and over, they want to cut Medicare and Medicaid. They want to cut Social Security. They want to unfund, and they just kept lying and lying and lying, and they always lose that battle. They've been spouting that BS at least for 40 years that I know about, and probably longer. Juan can tell you about the 40 years previous to that. He's a World War II veteran. I don't know if you guys know that. WW NAM, right? Isn't that what you were flying, B-29s and WW NAM? Anyway, so I think multiple things there are true at the same time. McCarthy did flex some muscle, and he said, you have to come to the table under my conditions. And that did happen. I think he didn't get nearly enough done. And I think on top of that, a lot of people had very unrealistic expectations on the left and the right. I think from the left, the idea they were going to be able to not only keep the spending that they had, but even blow out even more, that's completely unrealistic. And I think on the right, man, I had a lot of people really pushing back against me when I posted that I thought it was progress in the right direction. We got the iPhone guru again saying Fox News just said Trump stated he has now been indicted. Oh, wow. Juan, can you do a little bit for me in the background? See if you can pull a credible source on that. Okay. All right. All right. Hard shift. Normally I like to do a nice segue there. This is breaking, obviously. Thank you for that, iPhone guru. I was going to talk about this a little bit. I have said this before on here. I've said it on the TikTok as well. Thank you for the gifts over here. You guys are super cool. But come on over to the YouTube. Give me a subscribe over there. I have said from the get, and I just made a TikTok about this again yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, it was yesterday. Because Trump, through Truth Social, was the very first to announce that he was looking at a possible indictment. Obviously, it wasn't him, but it was somebody on his platform, on Truth. I got a notification from it on Truth. And the point here I'm making is, look at Trump's numbers since April. April is when he got indicted in New York City on those bogus BS charges that the federal election commission decided to not do anything about, that Bragg previously decided not to do anything about, that I believe the AG in his state has decided not to do anything about. Since April, Trump's poll numbers have gone up because Trump knows that when they go after him, he gets the base to come home. He gets those who are a little bit tepid towards him to come home. He even gets some people in the middle who are sick and tired of the lies and the obvious political persecution to come home to him. I was right when I said it. His poll numbers since April have gone up. So yesterday, with the possibility of an indictment, he was the first on his own platform, through a proxy, obviously, to announce it. And then he reacted to that again on his own platform because he is right to say he's being politically persecuted. And I'm right to say that he is continuously going up in the polls with this. So those on the left are just salivating. We're finally going to get him. There's a guy I work with. He's from New York. Good dude. I like him. He doesn't like Republicans. And he and I don't work in the same place anymore. So he's kind of made himself a little bit more known to me that he's not He hasn't done it directly, but the point here I'm making is he was one of the ones who said, we're finally going to get him. We're going to get him. I've been seeing his post lately. If you want to think that, that's fine. Juan, go ahead and pull that over if I could talk over it, and we'll talk about it. So here you go. Former President Trump says he has been indicted. Smith, we should call him Agent Smith from Matrix, has been probing Trump's alleged retention of classified documents and role in January 6th. So I would be very interested. I guess I could pull it up here a little bit. I'll talk over it. Let's just go to Fox News while we're talking at the same time. And I would be interested to know if these indictments are coming from, all right, here we go. We got it right here. Are they coming from January 6th potential involvement, or is it going to come directly from classified documentation? Because let's talk about the classified documentation portion of it. Mike himself, just the other day, they said, oh, nothing wrong. He had some classified. Life goes on. Not going to be any charges. Okay, we're not talking about the idea that he couldn't unclassify them, or I'm sorry, declassify them. We're not going to talk about the concept that he had them and that alone was breaking a crime. Nope, no big deal. Of course, you have Hillary Clinton, who had the server, which we all know had classified documentation on it. They never went so far as to make the correct accusation, which was she had that private server to hide her correspondence that she thought it was a way to get around FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests. That's originally why she did it. But nobody ever wanted to talk about that. She had the classified data. She did it to hide things. And then she bleach bitted it, and then she destroyed hard drives or had her staff do it with a hammer. That's all well and good. But Biden's got stuff going back to when he was a senator. But when Trump does it, the only person in this list of folks that I've given you, the only one who actually had the ability to declassify anything, because classification powers lie solely with him, and then they are delegated down. If you don't know that, it's because you don't have access to classified. You've never had a clearance. Your boy has had that for 20 years. Juan behind the scenes has also had that. We know how this works. And because we do it, it's a big part of what we do. We know how all this works. Trump was the only one in that list of folks that I gave you who had the ability to actually declassify anything. If you've noticed over the last couple of days in the lead up to this, I have seen, maybe you have too, articles talking about how Trump knew that he had classified documentation, and Trump had previously gone through the proper channels to declassify. That is in order to, again, continue to shape the narrative, to shape how people think that Trump knows the right way to do it. And if he knows the right way to do it, and he's done it before, and he didn't do it this time, then he knows he broke the law. Whereas Pence having him in his house, I guess that's not breaking the law. Hillary's server having a classified information, destroying it and the like, nothing wrong with that. Biden having it going back decades, no big problem. But Trump knew. Trump was the only one who could actually declassify. All right, so here we go. We got a quote. The corrupt Biden administration has informed my attorneys that I have been indicted, seemingly over the boxes hoax, even though Joe Biden has 1,850 boxes at the University of Delaware, additional boxes in Chinatown, in D.C., with even more boxes at the University of Pennsylvania, and documents strewn all over the garage floor where he parks his Corvette, and which is, quote, secured by only a garage door that is paper thin and open much of the time, end quote. Not to mention his derelict drug addict son had access to that garage, presumably for all of those years. So we got that Smith was appointed by Merrick Garland. Let's talk a little bit about Merrick Garland and that sleazy POS that he actually is. This guy, I think, has an axe to grind when it comes to Trump. For those that don't remember, he was actually nominated for the Supreme Court under Obama, as Obama was walking out the door. He was blocked successfully by Mitch McConnell. And then as a result, Trump ended up with 3 in total. And I think Merrick Garland has long had an axe to grind when it comes to Donald Trump. And he is more than happy to play politics from that position. The Justice Department has been investigating, back to the article, the matter after the FBI conducted an unprecedented raid back in October. Sorry, if you're trying to join in over here, I can't accept you, but we can do it afterwards. Come on over to the YouTube and you can write me some comments. All right, so this is breaking. It doesn't talk about whether or not it's from January 6th or if it's from actually having the classified documentation. I'll come back to you all so that way I can see you and we can continue to have our discussion. Appreciate you going with me on that one. Thank you, Juan, for finding that information. So more to be seen there. So Monica says, if Trump gets indicted, then Biden and Clinton need to be done the same. You would think. But unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen because nothing. So going back to this colleague of mine, this anecdote that I had where he said, we're finally going to get him and we have this and we have that and we have this and we have that. No, they're not. And folks even on Right America Media have been giving me a hard time that I am pointing out the obvious, that the Democrats want to run against Trump and his legal problems. What I don't really, I think, do a good job articulating after that is, yes, they are the source of the legal problems, but they look back under impeachment one and impeachment two and the Mueller investigation. They saw the way that they could actually change the way that people think and the way that people vote. And they manufacture, this is always the way they do this, manufacture the problem, offer the solution, vote for me. This is always what they've done. Take a look at the riots that always seem to pop up in election years. Take a look at what happened in 2020 with the COVID response, that they wanted everything shut down, knowing that it was going to hurt the economy. Look at Trump, he's hurting the economy. They still continue to tout that stupid graph that I'm sure you've all seen, where Biden has all these jobs added and Trump is a negative. Oh, did anything possibly happen that could have maybe possibly impacted the jobs? And of course, Biden is just getting back the jobs that were lost because Democrats wanted to shut down the economy. And now, knowing what we know, when people were screaming at Trump to stay open, he should have been staying open. Obviously, Florida has been the model for that, even though I had a very smart person over here named Sean tell me that this was DeSantis and Florida did so horribly. But of course, we've gained over 300,000 people since the pandemic started, and California has lost 300,000 people. But I digest. The Democrats want to run against Trump and his legal problems. Trump wants to run against the Republicans with political persecution hanging over his head. They both want it. I've been saying this whole time. They both want it. I've been proven right. I see the future. I don't know why you keep doubting me. Folks keep doubting me. I don't know why. I'll keep proving them right. His poll numbers have gone up. They're going to continue to go up. I don't understand why people don't listen to me. Nothing is going to come from this either. It's really not. Sununu, your governor, Juan, who is by no means a Trump guy, was on something leftist leaning the other day. And he was even saying then, I think it was with Psaki, that all the efforts that the left and the media, one and the same, have made to go after Donald Trump, to get Trump at all costs, has been a boy that cries wolf scenario. That's actually the term that he used. This is not a Trump guy from New England who's the governor of New Hampshire. He's very much made his name by being an anti-Trump guy. He has said, listen, you have turned this into a boy that cries wolf scenario. No one looks at any of this, those that are with Trump and those that are against Trump. Nobody looks at any of this and says this isn't politically motivated. We all know it is. The left has some red meat to chomp on, and the right also has some red meat to say, look what they're doing to our guy. If you look at Trump's number one pinned truth on Truth Social, it's something to the effect of they're not going after me, they're going after you. I'm just standing in the way. And he has long had that mantra that he is shielding the forgotten men and women of this country who have felt that DC has become the swamp that it is and has infected all of politics and all of media. And he's standing in front of that. And he wants to run against us. Nothing is going to come from this. It's really not. Because like folks have been saying on here, and I've been saying on the TikTok, look at what Hillary Clinton did. Look what Joe Biden did. How did Pence just have nothing? Pence had some classified documentation. I think they're going to try to go with well, he just gave it to us, and Trump didn't. Biden gave it to us, and Trump didn't. That doesn't make it not illegal. It doesn't make it not illegal when you took it home. It doesn't make it not illegal when you didn't secure it correctly. Just handing it over doesn't mean that it wasn't illegal when you took it. Again, of Biden, Pence, Hillary, and Trump, the only one who could actually declassify was Trump. He's the only one that possibly could, which again is why you're seeing these headlines that Trump knew the proper ways to declassify things, and then they're going to try to pin, well, he didn't use those ways on this this batch, and he kept them. All right, Johnny Fly, let's see what you got to say. Biden is doing a really great job. You're absolutely correct. Economy is going to avoid a recession due to Trump's reckless spending. Okay. And Putin's inflation, protecting women's reproductive rights and human rights. Boom. Nailed it. You nailed it. Leave it up there because I want to pick at it. Economy is doing great. The inflation on the inflation has been absolutely great. Let's tout some of these unemployment numbers. Johnny, go do a little research and go take a look at the actual worker participation. That has dropped. Since COVID, folks have left the labor force. Labor force participation. Go take a look at that and see how that affects the unemployment rate. When folks leave the workforce, they're no longer counted, which inflates, actually technically deflates, the the unemployment numbers. It's the only thing that they have to stand on. You have banks collapsing right now. You have Janet Yellen, who was on TV the other day, saying there could be more consolidation, is how she's going to phrase that, which is essentially more banks failing and the bigger banks getting stronger as they soak them up for pennies on the dollar. So the Trump's reckless spending, you actually got the wrong talking point. You're supposed to be going on about Trump's tax cuts. You got the wrong talking point there. It wasn't reckless spending because you got to remember it was the Democrats that were pushing for all this COVID money. And then, yes, Trump signed it into law. But again, it was because of all the shutdowns pushed by Democrats. Putin's inflation. Yes. Putin's price hike. Yes, you're still going with that one. They should be very, very proud of you. I want to see you. I'll take a look at that here in a second. Protecting women's reproductive rights. We need to kill more babies. Obviously, we need to kill the babies. And human rights. Name one. I'm sure we're violating all of them. All right, Juan, how long you got on this clip? All right, what do we see here? Hours after Biden bribery. Good call. Okay. So what Juan is bringing to my attention is, maybe we'll go over. You want to go over a little bit today, Juan? We got a lot. A little bit over? Maybe. We'll be on time. I'll make this work. I'm a professional. No, I'm a professional. What Juan was referencing there was this document that the FBI has, which talks about what a credible source says happened. Then you had a whistleblower, and I think this got muddied. You have a whistleblower who said, hey, the FBI has this document talking about a credible informant who's been talking about corruption involving Ukraine and the Bidens. Oversight in Congress, House Representatives said, we want to see that. Ray said, you can't see that. They said, we're going to hold you in contempt. He said, okay, Monday, I'll let you see it. And he showed it to them redacted. They said, that's not going to happen. We're going to hold you in contempt. He said, okay, but just the two leaders can see it. They said, we're going to look at it. Okay, now we're going to hold you in contempt because everybody needs to be able to see this. And then they didn't hold them in contempt, which pissed me off. And I think it pissed off a lot of people because everyone on the committee got to see it. We're caught up. What we're talking about here is there's evidence, and it is based off of sources, and I'm going to be intellectually consistent here. I hate sources say. However, if this is evidence that shows, we need to then continue with the evidence, but not act like it is the gospel, and we need to see if things come together. So I'm going to be intellectually honest here because I hate sources say. I hate sources say. However, we have a start. Let's give this the due process that it deserves, and let's take a look where this goes. What is this? The concept, the idea, the allegation that Burisma was paying Biden through subsidiaries, through many different LLCs in order to hide the payments, some $5 million, in order to gain access to Biden for policy. That was going to help them. It was going to help them essentially get into the American market. That broke. And now Juan is saying, boom, there's an indictment. Right? Okay. I know a lot of people that distrust a lot of what we're being told and when we're being told, and that it's usually a cover-up. You can bring that over if you want one. That it's usually covering over something else. Specific criminal allegations against President Biden, FBI document revealed. That's exactly what we're talking about here. There was a Fox exclusive, as they want to call it. Not like, you can bring me back, not that CNN or MSNBC was actually going to cover this because, of course, there's nothing there. We could talk about sources say, and the walls are closing in, and the walls are closing in on Trump, and we've got him now. And I just got Joy Reid ringing in this ear, and I've got Joe Scarborough ringing in this ear, and Joy Behar just over me all the time. Just the walls are closing in and we're going to get Trump this time. Howdy from California. Bill, what are you doing? Come down to Florida. Come get you some freedom. Get you some of that freedom and low taxes. Listen, if you guys stayed over here the whole time, you got a free show. If you came over to the YouTube, I love you. I love you a ton. You still have a chance to come on over. Here's my 2 cents over on the YouTube. I would love to know what you all think. I think nothing comes from this. I really don't. I don't think anything's there. The only person who could have possibly declassified this stuff is Donald J. Trump, and he was the president. And I think this was their way of finding something to go after him for, to muddy the waters, to make him have legal problems so they could run against Trump and his legal problems. And Trump wants to run against them as a martyr. And that's what he wants to do. I got asked ahead of time over here, who am I looking at on the Republican side? Juan is going to get mad at me. Yes, I am a Trump guy. However, in this election cycle, I'm going with Ron DeSantis. Of course, if Trump ends up having the nomination, I am a Trump guy. I want Trump to be in there right now. I'll give you my pitch on that right now. You get 2 terms possibly with DeSantis. I think that's a really big one. Trump's got 4 years to go in there, and he would absolutely have to clean house this time. He would absolutely just have to quite literally walk in, kick over some tables. You're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Your mother's fired, you're fired, you're fired. He's going to have to do it. He's going to have to make the spectacle. He's going to have to go after Ray. He's got to go. He's got to go after anybody that has had anything to do with going after him. Garland, of course, he'll be gone before Trump even walked in the door. Investigations, making it known. Yeah, this is political. Yeah, this is what's happening. They've done it to us for years now. We're done with it. We're sick of it. This is what I was sitting here to do. All right, Monica again says Trump is like Teflon, nothing sticks. That's fair. Or is he nothing sticking because he didn't do anything? Maybe it's because he didn't do anything. Bill Wilson, I know I hate it here. Follow you on TikTok. Bill, you are awesome. I have somebody that used to work underneath me. He came from California, and he said that him and his buddies used to actually watch me during their lunch breaks. Maybe you guys do the same thing. But he lives in Florida now. And Bill says, yep, he would have to go super big this time. Huge. And just make it obvious. I mean, Trump has even said, when he's been sort of pinned down in interviews, why didn't you fire Fauci? And he said the backlash that would have came from that, and he's right, it just couldn't be during COVID. I'm going to get rid of the guy who's saying the opposite of me. I think that would have had worse effects. That would have had worse effects because people were scared. The media was doing a great job with their fear mongering, with their demagoguery, and the like. Juan, is that less than 4 minutes, that video? Or is that longer? Yeah? All right, it's short. You want to see your boy and some interview skills? Bring it on in. This is from NRB a couple weeks back here in Orlando. Go ahead, bring it in, Juan.
A particular type of individual, mostly those who lack melanin, like myself, are the culprits of oppression or oppressive acts or oppressive policies. And so immutable characteristics then become the number one criteria for deciding.
Welcome back to NRB 2023 in the beautiful free state of Florida. I'm your host, Keith Cents Sanders, and with me is Tim Ballard, who has an amazing story that he's going to share with us. First of all, tell us who you are, what your background is, and then we'll get a little bit more into what we're doing next.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for having me on the show. And so, yeah, I run an organization called Operation Underground Railroad. Also another one called the Nazarene Fund. And what we do is we fight human trafficking, we fight the exploitation of people, mostly focusing on children. I spent 12 years as a special agent and undercover operator.
Of Florida with me, your host, Keith 2 Cents Sanders. I'm here with Tobias Elfhage. Did I get it? From Sweden. I tried so hard. We practiced that so many times ahead of time, and I went ahead and screwed it up. And today you are from the Epoch Times.
Not too bad, huh? Not too shabby. Your boy's got some interview skills. I think I did okay. Juan, let's go ahead and put this up in their long form. We'll put them up on, here's my 2 cents on the YouTube. And do you want to put them on Right America Media in your long form as well? You can have those if you would like, Juan. They are your property. You can put them up on your site if you would like. But we got a lot going forward, folks. DeSantis has had a small climb since he announced. That's just obvious. That was going to happen. A 4 or 5 point jump is expected. Really, it's through the summer. He's got to make a big push. He's going to be on the road constantly. I think he's going to continue to do things like, yes, it's a PR stunt, sending migrants, as they're being called, directly to the state capital of the sanctuary state, not even a sanctuary city, the sanctuary state of California. Here you go. We're evil. I believe you now. I do. You have your entire population believing that I'm evil. I believe I'm evil now. So here you go. You don't want these folks with me. I'm evil. You're our moral superiors. Here you go. If anything, Gavin Newsom should be angry that DeSantis isn't sending him more. We're evil. You could take care of these folks. We clearly can't, won't, and don't even want to. You want to. Why aren't you angrier or angry at all that we're not sending you more? That's where he really should be angry, because we're evil and we believe you now, Gavin. Your interviews on rightamericamedia.com right now. Just look up NRB 2023. That's where you can find them on Right America Media. Listen, you guys got a free show over here. If you guys were over here, I think we had a pretty good time. We're going to go ahead and let you know we're going to be on live again next Thursday, 7:31, not even 7:30-ish. It's going to be 7:30 live Thursdays, 7:30 Eastern on Right America Media. And with that, have a good night.